We are back live from Bellator 289. It's the weigh-in today, and it is the Grand Prix tomorrow night, the semifinals. And one of the people that will be doing the calling, along with Josh Thompson, Big John McCarthy, legendary MMA referee. He started this whole thing years ago. Now he's on the other side where he's but I love when you go in and you interview after the fights and stuff now.
Well, thank you.
I mean, instead of like trying to pick the dead guy up off of the mat, you're like now going up there talking to the winner, and the other guy still, somebody else is picking that guy up off the mat.
You need to get that guy some help.
That's right. So it's got to be a little bit easier and cleaner from your perspective now.
I get asked all the time, man, oh, hey, do you wish you were still doing it? And it's like, yeah, because I love doing it, but what people didn't realize is I got seriously hurt.
You had to dive in there and save people all the time.
I had 3 neck operations in a very short amount of time because I got paralyzed, man. My right arm did not work. I couldn't lift it. I couldn't lift it at all. I couldn't pick up a damn tortilla chip. That's how bad it was. So it was like, I ended up getting a couple of surgeries, and then it got to the point where it was like, hey, if I can't do it the way I think it needs to be done, I need to step away. And it was the right time. It was the right thing to do. And I was just lucky enough that Bellator at that time had an opening, and they asked me if I wanted to, audition for it. I was lucky enough to get it. And, all I can say is thank you because I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing now.
You're great at it.
And we know this sport to be one brutal sport, man. Maybe one of the brutalest sports that we have in this world. But I will say, and to a lot of people who don't know what they're watching, is one of the safer sports. Because even though we do have people that get knocked out, even though we do have people that break some limbs, you guys, well, I'm putting you in the referee category, you guys are so quick at jumping on it and making sure that everybody's safe and everybody tries to walk out of the ring.
Yeah, and it really, it went through such a progression. I love when people show me old fights. Through progressions. And
right.
There were times when we were stopping fights early because, man, we had a lot of political pressure, and we had to make sure that nobody got hurt.
Right.
Blood was not a good thing at the time. And so you went through all of this stuff. But the guys who work it now, like overall, they do such a good job. And there's so many good ones out there now that you can rely on to have the health and safety of the fighters in mind. Let them fight, but in the end, when they're in trouble, get them out before they get seriously hurt. We always talk, we'll say something to the effect of, hey, I'm going to let you swim into really deep waters, but I'm not going to let you drown. And that's what you're looking at.
Take us back to when it started, when we used to watch the original product before Dana White took it over.
Oh, yeah.
You would have, like, one of the Gracies fighting a 350-pound guy. I mean, there were no weight classes, and there was different, it was like a truck driver versus a karate guy. I mean, it was ugly. I loved it.
Yeah.
As a fan of the original product, yes, there were some broken bones, some knockouts that were so unbelievable, some things that probably shouldn't have been done. But what was it like back then, even for the referees? What were they telling you? This is the past the point of no return point. You've got to stop it.
Yeah, there really wasn't any of that.
That's what I think.
That was all your own discretion back in the day?
Yeah, really what happened is, I'm to be totally honest, when I refereed UFC 2, I was at UFC 1. I was there with Hoist.
Right.
I was actually a sparring partner for him, and, I get him ready for the fights.
Congratulations on that. Yeah.
I don't know if that was a good idea, but Hoist wins it. Well, the very first fight that happened that night was Gerard Gordeau fought a guy named Taylor Tully, a big sumo wrestler from Hawaii.
Oh,
really nice guy. His real name's Taylor Wiley. And Gerard ended up kicking him in the face. The tooth goes flying out of his mouth. He hits him with the right hand. That cuts him. And there was a referee. His name's João Barreto. He's from Brazil. He was a black belt under Hoist's father, Elio Gracie. He's a great guy. He had compassion, and he stopped the fight when, at the time, the rules were you couldn't stop the fight. The only way the fight was supposed to stop was the fighter tapped out or the corner threw in the towel. So he stops it. There's this big controversy goes on. Finally, the corner is standing there. They throw the towel, so the fight's over. It works out that way. And Horion came to me and said, I need you to referee. And I wasn't looking to referee, and I had no idea how to referee anything. And I said, I don't know how to referee. And he says, oh, no, you're going to be great. He goes, look, my 2 qualifications. You know more than these guys about fighting. and you don't mind seeing anybody get hurt. So that was my qualifications, and I went and I did UFC 2, and it was, at that point, there were 2 rules. No eye gouging, no biting. Groin strikes were good.
Yeah.
And it was either corner throws in the towel or the fighter taps out. That's the only time you stop. Well, I'm trying to follow that. And, my night starts off pretty easy. And then I realize, this is not good. These people don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand that their guy he's out. And I'm supposed to let it go on. And it got to the end of it. And I come out of the cage, and Hornet comes in. He says, "You did great." I said, "I will never do that again."
Wow.
Right? And that was when the very first rule, if you're looking at, the UFC and MMA, was, I said, look, the referee has got to be able to stop the fight if the fighter cannot intelligently defend themselves. And he goes, "Let me think about it." And finally, I said, "Hey, I'm not doing this again if you don't let me stop it."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Let me think about it." And he comes back and says, "Okay, you can do it, but only when they can intelligently." Okay, so that became the beginning. And every fight or every show, there was something that came up, and I started putting rules, into it. And then it got to the point where there was political pressure. So between UFC 14 and 15, I put in a bunch of rules to try to, and it was all, it was all stuff that as you looked at it, it was the right thing because it helped the sport grow. But, for most people, they think Dana White started the sport, and that was only 7 years
Oh, my God,
before
no.
he was there.
No.
So.
And but at the beginning, honestly, I thought those were entertaining.
Oh, they were
because
entertaining.
Because it was like some dude that should not be in the ring, and then some guy that was like an 8th-degree black belt that could easily kill that guy in a real fight, and it was like, okay, let's see you guys fight it and
see what happens.
See how long that one guy lasts.
Yeah, and like you said, there were no weight classes. There were no weight classes.
My God, but that was
all
the beauty
the way
of it.
up into UFC. I want to say, was it 12? UFC 12 was at the start. We put
making classes.
2 weight classes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you were 200 pounds over, or you were 199 and below. There was your 2 weight classes, And so
that's great.
But everything evolved, as it came along. And it was all it was a blast. I loved it. I still love the sport.
The fans loved it too,
and
man.
It was it has morphed into this, so it's pretty incredible.
Exactly. Now we're here in
is
2022. It's 289 Bellator, and the one thing I like about what Bellator does, and Josh explained, listen, it's not the only place that does Grand Prix. A lot of people do Grand Prix, but the money that's involved in this Grand Prix and all the Grand Prix at Bellator is significant. And like what you were dealing with way back in the early 90s, mid-90s, is you don't know what the matchup is. The matchup could be 8 beats the 1, and now all of a sudden you got the 8-4. There's really no seeds. It's just the way the tournament kind of goes, and what it is what it is. And now we got a really good semifinal with this Grand Prix.
Oh, we do it. And the best part is for the fighters, because a fighter never knows. Fighters do a lot of things to try to gain the attention of promoters. At least with the Grand Prix, it's laid out for you. That's my opponent as it starts.
Right.
And I'm either going to fight one of those 2 guys right there. And the next one, I'll fight one of these 2 guys. And you know what's coming. And so it helps you as a fighter. There's nothing the promoter can do to sit there and say, "Oh, I like that guy more. Now he's going in instead of you."
Right.
Doesn't happen. You're in that tournament. As long as you're winning, you are winning solves everything. You're marching your way to the finals and a possible, $1 million extra bonus payday on top of your normal pay. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Talking to John McCarthy, legend around MMA, now with Bellator. And all right, let's start with Stotts and Sabatello. And let me take your refereeing hat, put that on. Either one of these guys do something that you would say, hey, no elbows to the eyeballs, or no trying to twist this guy's leg off.
Sabatello's hair gel, maybe?
Is there any of these 4 guys? Is there anything that the referees are going into this fight going, this is what this guy's known for?
No, as far as going past what that line is in the rules, all these guys are really, great. As far as style-wise is what you're looking at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so you're going to be looking for each guy. You know what Sabatello wants to do, no matter what he says. No matter what, occurs as far as, my stand-up, I've been working on that, all that stuff. Yeah, that's great. You're going to go and you are going to try to get him to the ground and get in the top position and put your elbow through his skull. That's how you're going to win this fight.
And you know it.
And you know that, and that's okay. If you're looking at Rafion Stotts, you're saying You have the ability to stop his wrestling because you're an outstanding wrestler too. You are faster than he is with the hands. You are more dynamic in the stand-up than he is. And you're possibly a little bit faster because they're both fast, but possibly a little bit faster. But he's got a gas tank like he's a goddamn old F-350 pickup truck. He just doesn't stop.
Right.
You know? And so there's things you're looking for in that fight. You're looking at how many times does Stotts stop that takedown, because each one that he stops gets into Sabatello's head and it starts to empty his gas tank a little bit. But does he do it fast enough to where now he's in control of the fight, or is Sabatello able to use those takedowns and now start to wear him down, wear him out, and just drive him off of the cliff as far as conditioning? And that can happen.
We got to meet Rafian Stotts right before he upset Magomedov a few years ago, and that for him was like a huge part of his career.
That was
getting
Super
to
Bowl
this
for
level.
him.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
winning the Super
At the
Bowl
time,
for
biggest
him.
fight of his career.
Absolutely.
And for Magomedov, I think he really wants that rematch. Like, he wants to win tonight, and he wants Stotts to win so they can meet up in the finals. For Magomedov, though, and I was thinking of Dibs' question before we even sat down, because I was just going to ask you this, like, he's one of those guys that will go to his back because he invites the grapple, or at least invites the submission. But sometimes, and I know Patchy Mix is wanting to mix it up that way this time, but if it wasn't Patchy Mix and it was somebody else, how do you go from, like, listen, man, we need some action here. I know that you want to go down, but we need some action. As a referee, how do you deal with that?
Well, when you're taking a look at, long ago, there was a show, it was called Martial Arts Reality Super Fights. Mars is what they called it. And they had a fight between an incredible Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner at the time, Murilo Bustamante. It's a good friend of mine. And Tom Erickson, who was 286-pound super heavyweight Olympic wrestler. And that fight starts, and you would think that Tom Erickson, he's just going to take him down. Murilo's going to be on the ground. He's going to try for submissions. And he did, and that happened. And Tom Erickson was basically, I'm not going to the ground with this guy. And 290 pounds. Murilo's about 195 pounds.
Makes sense.
So, and Murilo's like, that dude hits hard. I'm going to my back.
Right.
And we learned right away, hey, we can't have someone that just flops to the back. So the rules of MMA allow for the standing fighter is the fighter in control of position. So if Magomed decided to jump to his back and try to invite Patchy Mix onto the ground, Patchy Mix has the ability to step back from him. As soon as he steps back, the referee's going to come in and tell him to get up. That's just part of the rule set. The standing fighter is the one that's going to control that position. But I'm telling you right now, nobody in this tournament should want to be going to the ground with Patchy Mix.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of submissions.
He is a monster on the ground.
Yep.
We call him the human backpack for a reason. And he has gotten so
Great
much
nickname.
better.
That is a great
nickname.
He's gotten so much better as far as understanding how to fight. A lot of guys, they're fighters, but they don't understand the mentality of how you turn it on, when you turn it off, when you take a breath, how you pace yourself through the fight. When you're young, you don't know how to do this, so you're really going and you burn yourself. He understands. Here's where I turn it on. Here's where I back off. And I'm telling you, on the ground, I don't know if Magomed wants to be on the ground with him.
Who do you like?
Yeah, who you like?
In looking at these, they're so closely matched. Magomed against Patchy Magomed is cleaner in his stand-up. He's got a lot of great spinning techniques. And because he comes from Dagestan, everyone looks at Habib Nurmagomedov and says, oh, he's a wrestler. Look, Magomed can wrestle. And the first time I refereed him was in Russia, and I was like, damn, this guy's good. He was fighting Peter Yan, another really good fighter at the time. And I watched this guy just continuously look for takedowns, but also switch to his stand-up and had a lot of spinning attacks and just really good all around. And he's only gotten better with that. But I look at this fight and I say, Magomed has an advantage in the stand-up game. He's cleaner, he's crisper. His tools are just a little bit more complete. Like I said, he's great on the ground, but he's not used to the style of a Patchy Mix. Patchy does not attack like a normal jiu-jitsu player. You get used to a guy's, the way a jiu-jitsu stylist will attack you. Patchy doesn't attack you that way. He has all kinds of different attacks that are different that make things work for him that you're not used to, and now you're a step behind. So I look at that. If that fight hits the ground and hits the ground early, I look for Patchy Mix to take that fight.
Female fight flyweight championship, Velasquez Carmouche. This is a rematch.
It is.
Needs some action here. I know a lot of people. I was at the last 2 Bellators. There was a female fight that didn't have enough action. And I think you were even upset about it and weighing in the Weighing In podcast afterwards about it. I love the female MMA. I really do, especially the championship match. Do you feel that there is an added pressure for the females to really mix it up and be more entertaining?
No.
Or is it still just, I'm trying to win, you're trying to win?
I do think that they, at one time in the sport, I think they put that on the, hey, we're the women, we have to show everyone. And so they really just went crazy in fights at times. And they were the best fight of the night because they both opened up so much that they made big mistakes, but it led to a great fight.
Correct.
When you take a look at this fight tomorrow, there's so much as far as the elements that go with it. You know, the first fight, I'm being honest, I don't complain about officials very often. I thought it was a bad call on the stoppage of the fight. You can absolutely see she's not hurt. Her hips are up in the air. She was, they tried to say she was out. She got knocked out. Absolutely not. She's holding her body weight. You can see her arms slipping through to get herself out of the position right when the fight has stopped, and you're going, oh, you made a mistake. And that was, she lost her undefeated record. She lost the title. Now, the one thing I want to say with that is Liz Carmouche did nothing wrong. And she did not get the respect that I think she deserves based upon the way that fight stopped.
Right.
When it could have been 4 more seconds, it might have been completely different. It should have been stopped, and she would have gotten that respect that she does deserve. So both women, I think, learned something from that fight, though. And coming into this one, I think you're going to see them fight differently. I think you're going to see a much more aggressive fighter in Juliana Velasquez. Instead of throwing, she throws a beautiful left hand straight down the pipe because she's southpaw position, but she throws ones and one twos. She needs to throw the 3, 4, 5. That's the ones that catch someone and catch them when they're not prepared and their hands are coming from a one position. You're going down to the body, now you're bringing it up to the head, and she can catch her and hurt her. I think Liz needs to look at it and go, I didn't do that great in the first one on the stand-up, but I was great on the ground. I'm going to take her down right away, and I'm not going to play this game of we're going to stand up. You're going to be in a fight that I want to dictate the position,
right,
and that's going to be on the ground, and that's where she should put it.
You got a couple more minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, I want to Rasta Adams. I know Rasta's undefeated. Adams is 92. A little bit bigger guys, middleweight.
Dude, Dalton Rasta is that guy you look at and you go, I freaking hate you.
Why?
Looking, oh my God.
Because he's got it all.
Good looking. He's got a body like a Greek god, right? And man, have I seen the improvement in this guy as a fighter. Yes, he's undefeated, but it's the way he's been going. In his last fight, he fought Cotton Romero, and he looked so good. And this is the thing about Dalton Rasta that I say it impresses me, but it also can worry you, is in his fight with, Romero Cotton is a strong individual, and he hits hard. And Dalton Rasta felt his power and basically said, I can deal with that, and put himself at times in positions to be hit when, why are you doing that?
Right.
Yes, I know you're trying to let him throw because you're going to throw and counter and everything, but he's got power. You got to be careful.
Don't take damage when you don't have to.
Bingo. And so you look and you go, I need you to be a little smarter in this situation with what you're dealing with. But he had something to prove, and he proved it. And he went out there and he knocked, Romero Cotton out. You look at his opponent in Anthony, man, he's slick in the stand-up. He's got good wrestling takedown defense. My real question here is, can he gain Dalton Rasta's respect? Does he hit Dalton Rasta hard enough for Dalton Rasta to have to take a step back and say, okay, I got to be careful of that? I'm not sure he can, because Dalton Rasta's got a chin, and man, he hits like a truck, and he can wrestle. He's got the full package as far as there's not a part of his game that you can look and say, well, he's not real good there. He's got good submissions. He's got good wrestling. He's got great stand-up. He's the real deal.
One guy I like, I've seen in the prelims a couple times here in Uncasville at Mohegan Sun, is Jared Scoggins. He's 10-2 now. I think he's going to dominate Cass Bell. That's just my opinion. Teach me something else different about Cass Bell. And if Jared Scoggins does win this fight, what's next for that guy?
Jared Scoggins is dynamic, especially in the stand-up, and that's where Cass Bell really has to be careful. But I'm telling you right now, Cass Bell shoots a double leg, he runs a single leg, runs the pipe. Superior fighter. Jared Scoggins in the stand-up, I agree with you. He's the superior fighter. But they both have their area that you can look at and go, I can take advantage of my opponent here. The real question is, how is Cass Bell going to get him down, or is he going to get him down? Right. Or how does Jared Scoggins hurt him in those takedown attempts when he blocks him and stuffs those things? So it's a great matchup. I love the fight. I think it's starting off the show in the prelims. Right. So it's one of those ones you can look and say, that's one that you can almost go and throw that.
Flip a coin on it.
Flip a coin based upon one's really good in one place, the other one's really good in another.
So good to see you again. We will see you tomorrow night at the fights, my friend. Have a great night. Go grab some dinner, whatever you're going to do. Thank you for some time.
Thanks, hey, brother. Thanks for having me on. You guys are awesome.
All right. That's John McCarthy, everybody. We'll be right back on the Rob live from Bellator 289. The weigh-ins tonight. The fights are tomorrow. We'll be right back.